Good morning, reception. It's Miss Sakrani here.
Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Mbula here. And today, we have a little experiment for you. We are going to be looking at different materials and we need to find out whether they are going to float or sink. Oh, now, can Miss Sakrani tell us what floating means and what does sink mean?
So, Miss Vula, if something floats, it stays on top of the water.
Wow.
And if something sinks, it goes all the way to the bottom inside the water. Can I show you my finger floating on the water?
Please go ahead.
This is my finger floating on the water, just like you float on the lake when you're on your back or in the swimming pool. And this is my finger sinking down to the bottom. Can you see it's gone all the way down to the bottom?
Wow. Now, I wonder which one of these is going to stay at the top, which means floating, and which one is going to go all the way to the bottom, which means sinking.
Shall we have an experiment and have a
think
go?
We should.
Okay, Miss Vula, here I've got a little dinosaur.
Wow.
Do you think it is going to float and stay at the bottom or sink and go all the way down? What is your prediction?
I predict that it is going to sink.
Shall we find out? Are you
think we
ready?
should.
So Miss Vula predicts, that means she thinks, she's guessing it is going to sink. Okay, everybody, 1, 2, 3.
It's gone all the way to the top. No, to the bottom.
Yay, Miss
It's-
Vula,
I
you
got
were
it.
right.
Yes, I was.
So now we have to put the dinosaur in the sink bucket. In it goes. Okay,
Great.
Miss Vula, what are we going to try next?
I think we should try a pencil. So what do you think? What do you predict is going to happen?
I predict that the pencil is going to sink.
Let's find out. Are you ready? Okay. So there we go.
Oh! Is it sinking or is it floating?
It has stayed at the top, which means it is floating.
Oh,
Right.
dear.
Oh, don't worry. It's okay.
okay.
It's okay.
So, Miss
now-
Vula, this has to go in your bucket.
There we go. It's
The
gonna go in our floating.
floating bucket.
So what's next?
Oh, look at this. I've got a coin here, all the way from the UK. Miss Vula, do you think my coin is going to sink and go all the way down or float and
I'll
stay
tell
at
you
the top?
what. I'll tell you what. That looks very tiny. I am sure. I predict it's going to float.
Okay, Miss Vula thinks it's going to float. Let's have a go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, what happened? It sank all the way to the bottom. So Miss Vula, the coin, even though it's small, it was heavy.
That's why it went all the way to the bottom.
I'm going to put the coin in my sink bucket.
Good. What's
What's next? Oh, what's that, Miss Vula? This big ball.
It's a big red ball. Now I'm going to have a go. And before I do, what do you think is going to happen? What do you
I
predict?
think, Miss Vula, is it a heavy ball?
Not that heavy. It's quite light.
Quite light. I think because it's light, I think it might float.
Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. What do you know? It is floating.
Can you see? It's right at the top. It's floating, so that goes in Miss Vula's bucket. That was a good prediction.
That was excellent.
Okay, now the scissors. Float or sink, Miss Vula?
That's definitely gonna sink. It looks heavy. Is it heavy?
Not very heavy, but it's big.
It's big, so it might sink. It
Might sink. Let's have a go. You were
Yay.
right, Miss Vula. It did sink. Can you see it's gone all the way to the bottom?
Great. So that needs to go in your bucket.
My bucket. And we've got one more thing left.
We have a yellow Lego brick. This is light. So what do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to float, Miss Vula. Because it's light and it's small, I think it's going to float.
Let's see what's going to happen. Look at that. That was brilliant. It is floating. Right.
See it floating.
So now we're going to pick it up and put it in our floating bucket.
So, Miss Vula, let's have a look at what sank to the bottom.
Okay.
So, in my sink bucket, I've got my scissors, my dinosaur, and my coin.
Great.
And all these things sank because they were heavy, Miss Vula.
Right, that makes perfect sense.
And what's in your float bucket?
In my float bucket, I have the red ball, I have the pencil, and I have the yellow Lego brick. And all these three items were floating, which means staying at the top because they were light. They were not heavy, they were light. So they came to the top of the water.
Miss Vula, this was a very fun experiment.
It was.
Thank you. And now for your home task, I wonder if you can do some experimenting. In your home care pack, there's a floating and sinking exercise for you to do. Have fun, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good